Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Amit Kumar, Chairman, President, and CEO of Nasdaq-listed Anixa Biosciences, to discuss vaccine technology and where Anixa is with the first human trial of its preventative breast cancer vaccine. Amit, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you for having me.
All right, you got it. And give us a high-level overview of Anixa.
Well, Anixa is a Silicon Valley-based biotech company. We're working on a number of different projects that are potentially game-changing in the areas of oncology and infectious diseases. You noted one of our programs, which is a breast cancer vaccine. That product, that technology just began clinical trials at the Cleveland Clinic this week. And we're pretty excited about it because that technology potentially has the, if it works in humans as well as it worked in animals, potentially could eliminate certain types of breast cancers, if not, most breast cancers.
Yeah, that's really quite incredible. And we'll get to that in more detail in just a moment. But what makes Anixa's infectious disease program unique?
Well, the infectious disease program is focused on coronavirus 2, COVID. Many years ago, when coronavirus 1 was raging throughout Asia, I and my team worked on it from a number of different angles. And when coronavirus 2 showed up, we decided that we wanted to evaluate potential therapeutics for that virus as well. We're doing it a little differently than most people. Most people began looking at what they had on their shelves, molecules that they'd already tried for various things, and tried to repurpose them for this particular disease. Remdesivir, for example, is one of those molecules that had some efficacy, but it was never originally designed against coronavirus. What we decided was we would take a step back and start from scratch, understand the machinery, the proteins of this particular virus, and based on that, design and develop potential compounds that could inhibit this virus. And so we went through a process of doing that. We used the crystal structures and the sequence data for this particular virus and specific proteins, and then evaluated virtually whether one or more of over a billion compounds, virtual compounds, might be potential drugs. And we honed it down to about a dozen. And now we're in the process of synthesizing them and testing them to evaluate which ones could be the most potent drugs against coronavirus. This process will take a little longer because we're starting from scratch, but we think ultimately it'll yield a much more potent and effective drug.
So, Amit, tell us about Anixa's vaccine technology and where you are with the first human trial of Anixa breast cancer vaccine.
Yeah, the breast cancer vaccine is a very exciting technology. This was developed by researchers at the Cleveland Clinic, which is one of the top, research hospitals in the world. And the basic premise here is that we want to prevent breast cancer from arising. Most treatments for breast cancer, or even vaccines for breast cancer, try and address a tumor once it's grown and it gained critical mass. At that point, it's very difficult. You have to surgically remove it, or if it's metastasized, meaning it's spread to other parts of the body, you have to destroy each of those metastatic sites, and that's difficult. What we are trying to do is to eliminate the cancer cells from gaining critical mass. So as soon as the cancer cell arises, we want to destroy it. And we do that by immunizing the patient. So, helping the immune system understand what's happening when cancer arises, and then let the immune system destroy those cells. So in this particular case, it's a very elegant approach. There's this protein in women called alpha-lactalbumin, and it's a protein that only is expressed during lactation. So when a woman has a baby and is breastfeeding, the protein is made, and it's necessary for mother's milk. But when the woman stops lactating, the protein disappears again. What the researchers at Cleveland Clinic discovered was that later on in life, when cancer cells arise, especially the aggressive form of cancer, triple negative breast cancer, those cells start making that protein again. And so the hypothesis was if we could immunize women after the age of childbirth, at an age where they're no longer going to have children, say 40 years of age or something like that, and teach their immune systems to destroy cells making that protein, when the cancer cells arise, they're making the protein and the immune system will destroy that cell before the cell has a chance to reproduce and become 2 cells, 4 cells, 8 cells, and so forth. So before it becomes a trillion cell tumor, it's destroyed, very quickly by the immune system.
I mean, this sounds incredibly exciting. I have a couple of questions here. So the first two that come to mind is, what if you do not want to have kids, and what if your past childbearing years and you have just never had children? Is there a certain age where you have to get this done, or can you make the decision to get it, let's say, in your late 20s, 30s? How does that work? Does it impact the efficacy at all?
No, that's a good question. Based on the animal data, in principle, you can get this vaccine anytime. The only issue is that if you end up becoming pregnant and having a child after you've been vaccinated, then you're probably not going to be able to produce milk, which means the child would have to be fed on formula as opposed to mother's milk. And it'll also cause a fair amount of inflammation in your breast because those cells are making alpha-lactalbumin and your immune system is, attacking those cells. So it's not life-threatening, but it'll be uncomfortable.
Right.
So if a woman decides that she's high risk, she has a high risk of breast cancer, and she wants to get the vaccine at 20, even though she's not had any children, as long as she's not going to have children, she can get it at 20.
Right. And of course, you would still recommend your annual mammograms, whatever frequency that your doctor prescribes, even if you're
Yes.
vaccinated. Okay.
That's correct.
These are all important things to know.
Yeah.
So to wrap up here, tell us about the pipeline and what's next for Anixa.
So we have that breast cancer vaccine that's in the clinical trial right now. We started dosing patients just this week. We have a second program in ovarian cancer, also a vaccine at the Cleveland Clinic. That's a little bit further behind in development, or earlier stage in development, I should say. And we're working with the National Cancer Institute to get that towards clinical testing. So again, similar situation. We want to eliminate ovarian cancer by just vaccinating women. And then we also have an ovarian cancer therapeutic, something called a CAR-T, chimeric antigen receptor T cell technology, which is a very, very new area of immunotherapy. CAR-T technology has done some amazing things for certain leukemia and lymphoma patients, but it hasn't worked in solid tumors. And we feel with our partner our partner is the Moffitt Cancer Center in Florida. We feel that together that we've got a technology that will potentially be the first CAR-T technology that works on a solid tumor. So we're pretty excited about that. The FDA just a month ago, in August, gave us the go-ahead to begin clinical trials there. So we anticipate we'll be beginning testing on ovarian cancer patients by the end of the year.
Yeah, well, this is fantastic news for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Amit, thank you so much for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thank you, Jill.